Hey guys, my name is Skyler Smith and this is Teen Talk. Hey there, and welcome to another OBFBC Teen Talk. So there has been a lot of school shootings. There's been over 27 this year alone. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
At Outfront tonight, several major developments in the investigation into the elementary school massacre that left 19 children and 2 teachers
Coming on
dead.
the air at this hour with news of a school shooting in South Florida. This took place in Parkland, Florida, at Douglas High School. No word yet on casualties.
Happened yet again in America. The parents of 3 teenagers learned today their children will not be coming home from school. The parents of 7 others finding out their kids are in hospitals with bullet wounds. Yet another school shooting.
We're here with Mr. Wayne Jackson. Hi, Mr. Jackson.
Hello.
So let's get right into it. So first question, why is the world becoming a more violent place?
Well, I think what you're seeing is that as people get further and further away from God, there's more violence. Because when you look at the first command, or one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. And so if you're believing in God, then one of the things you know is God is the one that perpetrates and develops life. And so he doesn't want us taking life. But if you don't believe in God, then it's not an issue. It's not an issue to take away life because you don't necessarily believe in God's laws. You don't necessarily believe in God. And so that's one of the reasons why you're seeing more and more violence in society, because people are saying we don't want anything to do with God. And so because of that, we want to do things on our own realm. And with that, if I don't like you, I don't want to be around you, then maybe I'll just kill you. And so unfortunately, that's what we're seeing more and more in society.
All right, so that makes sense. Second question we have is, why doesn't God prevent terrible tragedies like these from happening?
Well, I think you have to look at God is basically telling people, I'm giving you a free will to do whatever you want. Because imagine if God was to tell you you're going to do this, and this, people would be saying, well, God, you never gave me the opportunity to do what I wanted to do. And so what God is saying, I'm going to provide you a free will to accept me, a free will not to accept me. And because of that, you have these various tragedies going on, because what God is saying, with this free will that you have, you can do whatever it is you want. Sometimes people say, well, why would God allow this? God is allowing people to do what it is that they want to do. And so with that being said, you can decide whether I'm going to accept you or whether I'm not going to accept you. But that's a free will that we have as individuals. And so one of the reasons why it's so important as an individual to accept Christ is because now we're looking at what God is telling us to do as compared to what we are just doing on our own. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing more tragedies in society today, is because of the fact that we have kind of moved further and further away from God, and then thus more negative things are happening in our world.
All right, that's a great point. How can we as young adults cope with this type of tragedies?
I think as young adults, we have to understand, especially as young adults who are Christians, that Jesus says we are the light of the world. And so if we're the light, that means the opposite of that is darkness. Those individuals who are not saved, who are not born again, who are walking on your high school and middle school campuses, are those that are not saved, but they see a difference in you that they don't see in others. And so what young people need to be doing is telling people about Christ, but then also walking that walk. And so, you want to talk the talk, and then you want to walk the walk. And so as you're doing that, what you'll find individuals doing is coming to you and asking you more about, why are you different from everyone else? And that is what young people need to be doing today. You need to be making sure that people see a difference in you than they see in others, and that will then provide you with an opportunity to talk about Jesus Christ.
So, fourth question we have is, since we are not really allowed to deeply talk about God in schools, how are we supposed to influence our friends?
Well, I think once again, as I said before, it is more about how you are walking your walk. And you as a student, could get into a conversation in talking about Christ. That person brings it up. They're asking you, can you pray for me? And that is an opportunity then for you to talk with them about, sure, I'll pray for you, but let me do this. And then you can talk to them about, the fact that Jesus Christ died for their sins. Or if you happen to have a track on you or something along that line, you can provide that for them. So there are many ways that you can go about helping individuals and students to know about Jesus Christ. Because as a student, you can get away with a whole lot more than a faculty member, a principal, a teacher, or anything along that line, because you're just talking student to student. Maybe you have an event where you have a movie at your house and it's a Christian movie and you're able to talk with individuals about that. So you as a Christian can think outside of the box as a young person about what it is that you want to do or what you could do in order to influence your friends of yours that are not saved so that they can know more about Christ.
That's a wonderful explanation. So the last question we have is, with the new school year coming up, should we be afraid to go back to school with the threats that are there?
I would say no, because the Bible says in Romans 8:28 is that all things work together for good. And so even with these potential shootings out there, we know that absent from the body is present with the Lord. And so if we just so happen to be shot and killed, guess what? Now we're spending time with the Lord. And so, but God has a way of taking these negative things that are happening in our society and giving us opportunities to witness, to talk with individuals about Christ, where otherwise people might not be interested in listening to anything, but because of these negative things that are happening, God has now opened up a door. It reminds me of back in the 80s when I worked in New Jersey and we had 9/11 and it happened. And it provided us an opportunity to talk with students about going to church, about Jesus Christ, because many of them had wanted nothing to do with it until tragedy hit. And when tragedy hit, now all of a sudden they are more open to listen to what you have to say. And so I would not say you need to be afraid. I would say use it as an opportunity to talk about how Christ can change and transform lives.
So I'm going back to school, just like many of you are. And while we're going back to school, Mr. Jackson has provided us with a lot of explanations on why we shouldn't be scared, why we're safe with God, and how we can teach others about God. So thank you for joining us. This has been OBFBC Teen Talk. My name is Skyler Smith. This is Mr. Jackson, and we're signing off. Goodbye.